All right, guys, how's it going? I hope everyone's doing good. We're looking at two different gimbals here. I have the newer DJI RS3, and then we have the ZHIYUN, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. This is the Crane Plus. So this is about $550. This is about $270. So about almost a $300 difference there. So this video is kind of for someone who is looking for a gimbal and is deciding whether they want to spend $550 or what you can get for under $300. So I've been using the ZHIYUN Crane Plus for about four or 5 years, around there. And this thing has been great, absolutely fantastic. I love it. And I recently got the RS3 Mini, and I wanted something just a little bit bigger. So I got the RS3, and then they have the RS3 Pro, which I don't know. But anyway, this one's a little bit cheaper, and I would say this one has like all the bells and whistles, okay? But this one has a ton of pluses too about it. So the main thing I love about this gimbal is how easy or how natural it feels when you're using it. Like the balance, and I'll show you that here in a second. When you're using this thing, it just feels absolutely perfect. Also, it allows you to change out the batteries. Okay, you can change out the batteries. A set for these batteries is $36. Okay, and the battery life on this thing is anywhere from 12 to 18 hours. And I've used this without shutting it off, you know, to film weddings or whatnot, and 10 hours and the batteries are still good. Like, and I keep this thing on all day long when I'm not using it. I set it down without turning it off, just let the camera sit there, and yeah, all day long, works excellent. This one, it's the battery is interchangeable, but if you want to switch out the battery for this guy, it is $103. Okay, $103. So that's just one of the differences there. And this has basic functions. I call it basic functions, and that's all you really need is for a gimbal. You know, you want it to stay balanced and just be easy to use. This thing is awesome for that. So you just have like a power button, a mode button. We'll switch between 3 different modes. Then you have your joystick so you can pan it up, down, left, and right. And then this works as a focusing button that you can focus your camera with. This guy, on the other hand, has a touch screen, which is super cool because it allows you to go through and you can set like how fast you want the joystick to go up and down, left and right. You can set this front scroll wheel here to do anything from gimbal movements to manually focus your lens. I use the Panasonic GH5, and with the included cable, I can manually focus, which is awesome, but I can also set this to like aperture, so I could make it darker or lighter, or ISO, or any of those things. Where this one, I can only autofocus. But just because I can autofocus, I can still, here, let me get a camera on here. So to balance the camera, or I should say it's already balanced, but to put the camera on here is super easy. You just unscrew that nut right there. It screws right into the bottom, like so. And then we have this cable here, which plugs in right there. And this is for if you want to be able to like start and stop recording and also autofocus. And it just plugs right in there to the camera, like so. And then we hold, it's going to be this button right here, and it will power on, just like that. So with the RS3, grab this guy, and slide this in, lock it. Now this also has automatic locks on it, so it means each access is locked into place, where this doesn't have any, oh, it's on, but this doesn't have any locks on it. And I'll tell you what, okay, this comes with a really nice case, okay, but what I've done literally for 4 years, okay, when I'm not using this thing, I literally, I know this probably isn't good, but I'm telling you, it doesn't affect it. Set it like this, and I put it in my trunk. Boom, just like that, on a pile of tripods. Just sits just like that. Okay, never had any issues with this thing. Super quiet, super reliable, works very good. And I'd tell you why I would go with this one over the RS3 in a second here, but I wanted to show you some more stuff on the RS3. I'll go ahead and balance this thing back up. And turn this thing on. And it's on. Okay, so with the RS3, we got the power button over here on the side. And now this one has a micro USB that actually plugs into the other side of the camera. And with this one, I can autofocus, I can manual focus, all via this little red button here. Well, if you push it in just a little bit, it will autofocus. Long press will start recording, and then that front dial allows you to manual focus. So now that I have that one on, I basically just click this and hold it, and it will unlock. And voila, it's ready to go. So first I wanted to kind of talk about, here, let's look at the backs of these. So the ZHIYUN has like a place where you almost have to flip out your screen, okay? Because you can't really view it just the way the motor is. Where with the DJI, you could have your screen basically tucked in like that and view it that way. So that's just the difference there. But I like to, when I'm using the gimbal, and put it in different, like, so say I'm gonna go down like this, I like to be able to flip my screen and see it. And that's part of the reason why I leave the screen out. And do the same thing. Flip it this way, flip it this way, flip it this way. And that's another thing I wanted to show you too. Because with the ZHIYUN, say if this is like the perfect run and gun gimbal. If you're running gunning all day, this is it. It's perfect. So you can grab this and say I wanted to point down really quick. Boom. Okay, point up really quick. Boom. Boom, boom, yeah. Anyway, you can't, whoa.
You need all these things to keep your stuff in place, because otherwise you lose it. It just floats away and it doesn't fall down.
Whoa. I guess it does fall down. Whoops. I didn't have let me shut this off for a second. I didn't have the slide plate. See, at the bottom here, you have a plate that slides up and down. I didn't have that locked into place. Oh. Okay, there we go. See, this little part here wasn't tight, so when I flipped it up, oh, it's still a little heavy on the front. Let's see now. Here. So for this fine tuning, it's really not a problem once you have it set, but I've been interchanging the lenses and stuff, so that's why that bottom part was loose. But here, we'll go ahead and turn it on again. Okay, so I can go boom, down, up. Okay, with this one, you can't, it just wants to pull it right back. And I mean, that's not a deal breaker, definitely not a deal breaker. I mean, you probably really shouldn't do that, but I do find myself using that, and that's really cool. So another thing is being able to zoom in without them flipping out, you know, because a lot of times I'll be zooming in and then zooming out just to have different focal ranges. And with this one, I'm able to do that just fine. Okay, and with this one, I'm able to do that just fine. Now, although with this cable here, it can be a little tricky from time to time, but I'm sure I'll get used to that. So I can zoom in and out on my lenses. And also I can manual focus. So when I'm using this guy, right, this is why I like this thing so much. The ergonomics of this gimbal are, I'll show you, okay? This little ledge right here, okay, it doesn't look like a big deal, but this thing is awesome because, and I'll tell you what, I'll run and gun with this thing all day long. I'm not like super ripped out. I can do it no problem. I could probably go all day long. So look at this. I rest it right here, right above my belt line, and I can literally just balance that thing on my finger, and it feels good. I'm not worried about it, and that's how I'll even get smoother shots, just like that. Okay, or if you're walking along or whatever you're doing, this little ledge is awesome. Now, I can kind of try to pull that off with the RS3, but there's just really nothing to sit on, and this one just feels so much better. It's got to do with the handle too, because this has got a thicker grip to it, but this one just feels so much better. Like whatever angle you're going to do, it just feels so much more natural and more responsive, to where this one, it does, yeah, but it just, I guess this would be a good example to show you what I mean. So if you watch me shake the table on this, you'll see this one shaking so much more, and I think it's because the back sits closer to the actual motor. So if you watch this, okay, it's just a lot more like, I guess you would say like top heavy. And yeah, that might be because the lens is a little bit more heavy, but if this had the manual focus wheel on it, I would pay the same price for this thing. But with this guy, I'm also able to manual focus just like this. Okay, and you can't even tell, to where if I was going to manual focus with this guy, I'm manual focusing down with this bar. Okay, and if you have a really good autofocus camera, get this thing all day long. You're going to save $300. You can invest it in like lenses or different audio gear or something like that. So like I said, we can adjust the like joystick speed. That's another thing. Sometimes this joystick is very precise. So if I wanted to go just straight up and down, you want to make sure you're going like perfectly straight up and down, because you see how it's kind of tilting to the left. You got to be real careful, otherwise you'll get that little bit of movement in there. Well, with this one, it's just straight up and down. It's works very well. And you can also set this joystick speed on this one too, but you need to connect it to your phone. And within the phone, you can set like how fast you want the follow speed to be, you know, how fast. And once you get that right, I found myself, I didn't ever change it, you know, especially, you know, let's say you're going to do like a pan down. And they're also, what's it called, like sensitive. So if you didn't push this part all the way down, it'll go slower. Or if I push it all the way down, it'll go faster. And the DJI does the same thing. It does. But if I was going to lug one around all day long, it'd be this one. All day. No questions asked. This is it just works so well. So they have different modes. And you'll see this blinking light on the Crane Plus. So it's going to blink. If it's 4 times, that means it's 100%. 3 times, 75. 2 times, it's 50. 1 time, it's 75%. And but you would switch through the modes with this guy. So if I push this, it's going to kind of lock it like that, lock the access. And if I push it again, it's going to go into like a FPV mode. Okay, so that way, whatever way I'm going, boom, it's going to follow. And on the DJI, it is on the side here. You have this little lever here. Well, it allows you to flip it up, and it'll put it in the different modes. Like that's the PTF mode, and then it also has the FPV mode, which will follow the movements. And it also has this little trigger on the front. If I double press it, it will go to just perfectly straight, kind of where it started out. You just boom, boom, like that, goes perfectly straight. Now, if I hit it 3 times, 1, 2, 3, it'll spin at you. And those are, I don't know, maybe some people would use them. I don't find myself ever really using those things. And I mean, you can, oh, let me switch modes here again. You can do the same thing with this. I mean, flip it around to point it at you if you want to do that. Now, as for, like, if you're gonna get into, they make a focus motor for this, which is extra, okay? And you can put a focus motor on here that will manually, like, focus the lens for you. And it also has, like, another attachment right here. DJI makes this too, but this is Small Rig. Small Rig has, in my opinion, really good, like, parts for cameras and stuff. So, and this would clip on the side. They call this thing like a briefcase handle. And it allows you to add a little bit more support. Now, I'll tell you, the stability of even with this compared to this one is just better. So it allows you to, oh, hold on, let me switch modes here. And we'll go level. So if you wanted to hold it down like this, that's convenient, no doubt about it. Like, that's nice to be able to do that. And with this guy though, I can do that too. What mode are we in? Okay. And it feels good too, like, oh, we're getting a little there. But just, it's nice. It's nice. All right, let's talk about camera weights. So this one supports 6.6 pounds. This one supports 5.5 pounds. This one weighs 3 pounds, 3 ounces. This one weighs 2 pounds, 11 ounces. $270, $549. Doesn't come with the case. Now, as for like using when you're actually, okay, I'm in different mode here. And I forgot to tell you too, you can balance this one super quick by its double press, and then I'm allowed to tilt it like this. And yeah, this one you can do the same thing, but it's when you and one thing about this too, there's a little green indicator here that allows you to balance your camera. And if I click that, I could go to start calibration or calibration, whoopsies. And it's basically gonna kind of calibrate through to make the motors, I guess, just really good. I don't know. But there's also one called Super Smooth, and the Super Smooth, oh, you hear the noises? Hold on here a second. Okay, calibrated, good. Now watch this. I wanna go to Super Smooth, okay? Listen to this. Once I get it here. Those noises. I guess those noises are normal, and that's fine. Not a big deal. But now, it's like there's a speaker. It's like a processor inside of there. Here, you hear this. And sometimes it's louder than other times, but listen. You hear the vibrations, how they echo? They're not too bad right now, but sometimes these things are just screaming anywhere. And that's in the super smooth mode. But if I change back to the normal mode, those will completely go away. And I'm not the only one that, if you look it up, other people are having this same exact problem. So I'll go ahead and I'll switch it back to normal. and those will be gone. So really, what it comes down to is which one am I going to use? Okay, so I recently got a lens. I've been running with this Olympus 12-40 for a long time, and it's done really good. It's an excellent lens. I think you can pick them up for, I don't know how much honestly they are now, but they're not expensive as this one. This one's the Panasonic 10-25, and this one I think you can find for around $1,500 to $1,700. This one I think you can find used, especially for under $500, or right around there, $800. And they're both excellent lenses. This one has a 1.7 constant aperture. This one has a 2.8 constant aperture. So I just wanted something that was a little bit better in low light, and that's why I opted for this lens. And this lens will indeed balance on here excellent, although it's very, very close to the back. I almost should flip it around. I will flip it around and I'll show you. And I also want to be able to add a ND filter on the front, and that's just going to make it over the top. So now they do add weights, like counterweights, that you can screw onto here, but it's just when you add that weight, it's just not working as good as it used to be. So now with this lens, I'm almost forced to find another gimbal. And I guess honestly it's going to be the RS3. And I do like, the biggest thing I like about the RS3 is that you can manually focus from here. Even though for years I've manually focused just like this, and I'm able to do that, and you won't be able to tell. You know, you'd think I was focusing on there, and it almost feels more natural. Let me go here into, it almost feels more natural just the way I showed you. So you're going to be balancing it like this, resting it right there, and you can just super smooth, just pull the focus right there. Okay, and this one I'm sure I'll get used to it, but you just pull the focus from here. So if you don't have a Jumanji lens, okay, and something along this line of a lens like this, or even a little bigger, this lens is just really big for the camera, I would recommend the ZHIYUN crane, hands down. The ergonomics of this thing, you will be so happy. Your arm will love you. Your shots will love you. It doesn't look as big, as intimidating as this thing. Like I said, when I'm done with it, I literally just set it down all day long, and it's good. Pack it up, 1/4-20 on the front, unplug the cable, and screw it in like this. Boom, I'm good to go. This one's nice too. You got the lock feature. Just hold this down, locks into place. I have read reviews though that somebody knocked this a little weird and all of a sudden their locks wouldn't work anymore. So all these mechanical features, yeah, it's cool that it locks and it does it automatically, but that's just one more thing that can go wrong. Another thing I'll bring up about the RS3 is that if you have a compatible camera, this can work via Bluetooth. So you can turn the Bluetooth on in here and you can do the manual focus, start and stop recording via Bluetooth, which is really nice. Something else I looked into was the LiDAR. I think it's called LiDAR, but it's basically a little camera that sits up on here. I think it's around $400 to $600, and you plug it into your camera and it'll focus your camera for you. It's supposed to be, you know, like the GH5 autofocus system sucks, but the cameras rock. So it would, you know, you can turn manual lenses into autofocus. But the thing is with that, it's not so much like super easy run and gun. It's still jumping through hoops, but here in the next couple of years, I'm sure it's gonna be really good. And that just kind of makes everything just bigger, and which is fine. I mean, it just depends on what you're really gonna be using it for. But I think a majority of the people are gonna get this thing, save money, and rock it. So, yeah. Let's see, any other things I can mention about this. With this wheel down here, you can also adjust like how fast you want it to focus. So if you want to, if you want to get your focus range from here to here in one swoop, you can do it. Or if you want to get your focus range from here to here in one swoop, you can do that and just make it really, and I found the slower you have this, it's going to be the better. Otherwise you're going to get like focus jumping. But yeah, that's about that. Cool.
Things to keep your stuff in place, because otherwise you lose it. It just floats away and it doesn't fall down. You need all these things to keep your stuff in place, because otherwise you lose it. It just floats away and it doesn't fall down.